Let's try that again. Hello? Are we going? Let's see. Oh. Is it going? I'm gonna check it all out while waiting for people to show up. Check, check, check. Check, check, check. Maybe I'll try shutting down, try it all over again. Okay, let's see. Okay, this one's working. Hi, Kaya. Oh my gosh, nothing like live difficulties. Technical difficulties. Okay, this one's working. Hi, Kaya. And turn that sound down. I've got my whole paper making set up here. You get to see it as I go step by step. What you doing today, Kaya? Are you doing arty things as usual? You're such an amazing artist. As you practice. Oh my goodness, it is hot here today. And I wasn't going to do a live stream today because I'm working on a book project before I get knee surgery done. And I thought, you know, I want to get some extra paper made, so. Swimming? Oh, girl. That's awesome. Ooh, 3D pen stuff. Cool. Well, I'm taking advantage of this awesome weather that we're having. We had a pretty wicked storm last night come through, and of course the mosquitoes are like crazy. So I've got incense burning. I'm wearing all kinds of lemon eucalyptus bug juice, and right now it seems to be pretty good. I've tried to like get the area infused with lemony eucalyptus and cedar and you name it, any scent and smoke that I can muster to get the mosquitoes out of here. So anyway, we're going to be doing paper making today, and I thought I'd give you a little bit of update news from the woods since it's Art Wild. And if you haven't seen Marie's post today, she came into my office while I was working, and she usually comes in with some type of wild critter and or some type of thing that belonged to a wild critter, or was once a wild critter. And so she came in with a turtle, and it was a good sized turtle. It was, where am I? There's the camera. Okay. It was about the size of this embroidery hoop. And I'm looking at it going, that's not a painted turtle. I don't see any red. And sure enough, looking at the shell, I said, I believe that's a map turtle, which I've always seen those in the pet stores. You can get little tiny map turtles and as a pet, but I didn't think, you know, I used to see them in Michigan, but because the map turtle is a Michigan turtle, I didn't think they'd have them as pets. But so she came walking in with a map turtle and showed me a picture of a wood turtle that she had helped escort across the road. So 'tis the season to help turtles cross the road safely. So we have turtles for many, many years to come. And things at the feeder. I don't know if you can see out back here my little feeder area. And the tree on the far right, let me see if I can get my finger over right over there with the little red bird feeder. Got a visit from the friendly neighborhood bear this past week. And that was quite fun and exciting. He seemed to get into the girls' bird feeders. I keep mine empty at night, and because knowing that the bears are out and about. And so the bear came over and checked out my feeder the day after. And here you can see the screen that was in that little red house, and got that from Up North Gifts, that little tiny red feeder. And I thought, boy, that is not the work of a raccoon. I don't think so. And then as I took it off and replaced the screen at the bottom, the mesh at the bottom of the feeder, I noticed you can see where 3 claws came through there, and then a little toe here. So yeah, that was probably a bear looking for the 1-2 seeds that were stuck in the mesh. So that was quite exciting. The other thing is that the tadpoles are in the pond, and the bear tried checking out the little pond, and tadpoles are doing fine. Still no legs, but I did find in the water, when I took out the big tadpoles and put them in the little pond, I found that there was one teeny tiny pollywog, and now there are three. So they had hatched in there while I've had them. Oh, the mosquitoes have just come back, so you might see them zip across the camera. And so I've got those. They seem to be growing leaps and bounds, and we'll be joining the others in the frog pond probably later in the week. So, oh, and going to sleep at night and listening to the whippoorwill, whippoorwill. Oh, that's always fun. And then waking up to cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo of the cuckoo and the black-billed cuckoo. So there's all kinds of things happening in the woods. Always is. And to capture these fun events, I love taking notes and infusing my artwork with the experiences that are going on here in the woods. Now, I just did a YouTube video, and it had my coyote. If you haven't seen it, run over to Book Arts with Lori Taylor and check out the coyote art. And in that art, I had some of my handmade paper. Here's one of the sheets, and I think I ended up getting 5 sheets of this color, and I'm using recycled paper. So any of the bills, anything that I junk mail, old manuscripts, I'm looking in here, old sketches, things like that I don't need, got torn up, and leftover bits. Oh, hey, a gunshot. We live in the woods. So anyway, I love the texture of this paper. It looks kind of like leather. I know it's not like the traditional paper making where it comes out just super smooth, and I kind of like the texture and the look of it. So that was the first one, just regular recycled. And then a little bit lighter, and you can see there's some speckles in there, and that's blueberry. I was trying to dye it like a bluish color, and I put berries in, a few, just like probably 8, and then some rose petals that I had left over from a birthday last year. And so the rose petals are infused in the paper. So that was another batch. And of course, I always have coffee. And at the end of that day, I was using up the rest of the slurry, the paper pulp, and poured coffee grounds in there, and it gave it a fun little speckled look. And you never know, just ripping parts of this and gluing it onto cards, giving it a look of sand. Hello, mosquitoes. Yes, I know you're back. Where are some other fun things that I did? Oh, I think it's in the front. There we go. I had gone out on a walk with Lisa and Marie and found branches of cedar lying on the ground, and in 2 days' time that cedar branch dried out. So I just snapped off bits and put it in the paper after I pulled the sheet from the vat. So there's all kinds of things that you can do with your paper making. You can add this to greeting cards, you can make pages for books, you can use it in art projects, or like what I did is with the slurry, I used my 3D pen art and dipped the coyote in, and because the coyote 3D art had little webs from the filament, oh, mosquitoes are going to want to breed in here. Because of that, it worked out so well. The slurry got into those little crevices and created a skin for that coyote. So that was fun. You can take and rip pieces off and glue it down. I use gel matte medium, and then I ginger and make sure that it makes it stronger if you're going to use something that's going to be manipulated like a book. So anyway, today I was going to do, with the advice of my granddaughter and fabulous artist, Kaya Taylor, and she suggested that I do some paper making. And because paper making is kind of a summer thing to do, I don't want to do this in the house in the wintertime, and we've got good sunlight today to help dry the sheets. So I thought I would do this, and it's easy to do. You probably have the materials right at home to work on some paper. So the first thing I did was get a cheap blender. And I had some Kohl's cash, and I knew I wanted to do some paper making for my mixed media work, especially now that I'm doing book arts. And so I used the Kohl's cash and got a $19 blender, so that way if it pukes, I'm not out that much because I had a $10 off. So that worked out really nice. And so you want to get yourself a blender that is going to be designated for nothing but paper making. You don't want to use it for smoothies or anything else anymore. So this is my blender. So that's probably the biggest cost that I had in this endeavor. Recycled paper. I told you that I had paper in my recycle bin, and I had a container and shredded up 1 to 2 inch size pieces. So I shred that up, all different kinds, heavy cardstock. There was even like some toilet paper. I don't even know where that came from. It was clean and it was in a baggie. Probably was using it to pick up something on one of my travels that never got used. And so little bits of that, tissue paper, colored paper, all of that is going into my paper mix for today. A vat that will fit the size of your mold frames. And so being the artist community, hi Marie, good to see you. Being the artist community here at Bear Track Studios, I went to Marie and she had 3 frames that she wasn't going to use. And so I wanted to make my screen for dipping the paper, which it fits this vat, and you can see that it's big enough to get in there and fit into that. And so I got metal screen and cut it to size to cover to the edge of the frame, and then stapled it down. And of course, Lisa's got the tools. She's the tool girl. And so she had a heavy duty stapler and stapled about every inch or so, so it's nice and tight. And then covered it in duct tape. So that way the edges aren't going to be biting, and it does give me an edge for the paper. Now, normally you use a decal, which is a frame that doesn't have the screen, and it lays over and gives you that edge. But again, I like the raw edge, and I want to use the screens to pull the paper. So I just decided on that, just to have 3 molds to pull my paper. So I've got my screen, and then I remembered as I was working for drying my herbs that I had embroidery hoops. Now, if you happen to have old embroidery hoops lying around, you can do the same thing with a screen. And this might be an maybe a plastic type screen. I don't think it's metal, doesn't feel like it. But these are old ones that I had lying around for drying herbs, and they make nice little paper tortillas, as you saw with the round sheets. So like the leftover bits of slurry will probably go into these, and then it gives me little tiny pages. So we've got leftover bits. I think we had to buy screen. That was the only thing that I needed. We had the frames on hand, and you can use any old picture frame to do that. I really like this because it's about a 11 by 20 maybe size, and for making books it works out nice because it's a long sheet of paper, and so I'm getting that wide sheet. Okay, the other thing is I had an old flannel sheet, and for your paper to dry on you want to have a cloth. And this is traditionally called the couche. And you couche your paper to it adheres to the cloth so it dries. So after the paper is drained, then it goes on to cloth. So as I'm working on this today, I'll show you and explain it as I go along. But to have these cloths ready, I ripped up a sheet into usable sections. It's going to be as long as the paper, maybe even a double thickness to add that air space so it dries quicker. And again, a sunny day to help your paper dry. Okay, so we've got all the goods, and then put the wild into the paper mix. Last night when I was out on the kayak, girls built a boardwalk to go on top of the boardwalk that was submerged about 8 inches. And so I was able to walk out and get into my kayak and go out and get cotton candy? No, cattail fluff. And so I thought, oh, that's going to be fun to stick into the batch today. So I'm going to use some cattail fluff using some natural materials. Another thing that can be used, dandelion fluff with seeds. So we're going to see how that looks today. And I gathered some dandelions and with the seeds, and maybe make some wishes on this paper and see what happens. So I'm going to use this today in the paper, and I'm going to just lay this out so I can grab a hold of it. The first thing we want to do, and I've got my blender ready to go, so there's going to be some loud noise here. I do have some slurry made up, but I wanted to put a fresh batch in and see what color am I going to get today. So I've had this paper sitting and the dye is kind of working its way out into the water. So I never know what color it's going to be. And that's kind of fun. Add some. You don't want to add too much to the blender to bog it down, and it's usually good to let it sit about 24 hours. This I just ripped up this morning. Again, I didn't think I was going to do a video since I'm busy with illustrating a book project. Hey Mary, hello. Oh my goodness. It's been over 40 years. What, 45 years? I don't know. I can't do the math while I'm making paper. Okay. Let's get some of that rust and purple in there. Let's see what color. What color do you think it's going to turn? What do you think? Add a little bit more water to it. All right. Last bit of gold. Pop some of that in. And usually starting your blender on low, and just to get it going. Seems to be ripping it up pretty good. Ooh, it's gonna make a nice rusty. I just try to baby it that I don't overheat the motor. Hi Marie, how's that turtle doing? We set up a turtle habitat to rehab the turtle that she found that was injured. Oh. And it just happened to be the rabbit's old cage. I guess we have lots of cages and aquariums and things. So here's the color of the slurry. It looks like a smoothie. It looks pretty good, like a raspberry. Now I'm going to pour it into my vat. Yay. I think I'm going to add some more. So the thicker the slurry in your vat, the thicker your paper. The thinner, the more fine your paper will be. So we're going to add some more. Oh, it's fun. It's messy. You got to set aside a time and a day just to spend the day working on it, because it does take a lot of work.